Right, good morning to you all. In continuation of our classes on freedom struggle, today we are entering into a major turning point. The second popular movement under the leadership of Gandhi, the civil disobedience movement. Movement starting itself as a civil disobedience movement. Right. I told you the background. Right. Simon Commission boycotted by the Indian political parties. Lala Lajpat Rai lathi charged and died in the anti-Simon protest movement. Then Motilal Nehru Committee was constituted. The report not acceptable to a faction of the Muslim League. That's why British also refused to accept it. Whereas Congress party served an ultimatum that it must be accepted by 31st December 1929. The stalemate continued. In the meanwhile, Bardoli Satyagraha was held in Gujarat by Sardar Patel. Then you see 1929, October, Deepavali Declaration was made by Governor General Irwin. Telling what? That you see, Simon Commission also agreed for abolition of, not happy with diarchy. In the absence of the abolition of diarchy, what type of administration Indian political parties want? To discuss that, according to the Deepavali Declaration, Roundtable Conferences will be held in London. So Deepavali Declaration announced, Roundtable Conferences will be held and asked all the political parties together. Congress party rejected it because you see they already decided there is no need for roundtable conferences. All political parties already came together and drafted Motilal Nehru Committee report. There is no need as such for roundtable conferences, right? So historical Lahore session was held. I told you that was the only instance where the son succeeded the father. Motilal Nehru succeeded by Jawaharlal Nehru, the only instance, right? In the Lahore session, President Jawaharlal Nehru himself drafted Purna Swaraj Declaration. Purna Swaraj. Because you see, a section of the Congress leadership, they were not happy with the Motilal Nehru Committee report, I told you. Even Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Satyamurthy, they were not happy with the Motilal Nehru Committee report because it had not provided the word Purna Swaraj. It was only providing a system of administration within the framework of the administration, within the framework of the British administration. Right. So in the Lahore session, Purna Swaraj was the call given. That means we are almost set for the movement, civil disobedience movement. Then, tricolor flag was hoisted, prepared by Pingali Venkaiah. Then we also decided to celebrate January 26th as Independence Day. Why? I told you all these things. Concluding part of the class, I told you in the Lahore session, Gandhi declared, Deshabhakta Konda Venkatapaya as his representative, as his successor and his, nominee for conducting civil disobedience movement all over India. I told you why Gandhi's choice had fallen upon Venkatapaya. Because by 1928 itself, Bose and Nehru and Bose, that's the right way to put it, were not any longer, interested in Gandhian method of struggle. They are not happy with the Gandhian method of struggle. They are not convinced with the Gandhian method of struggle. Right. I told you the reasons. Nehru got more and more attracted towards socialism. Right. Socialism. Nehru openly declared that he was a socialist. Right. So you see, Konda Venkatapaya, the choice of Gandhi. Now everything was set for civil disobedience movement. Then how the movement started? You see, in January 1930, Okay. Gandhi put forth, Gandhi drafted 11 demands. Okay. 11 points or 11 demands in January 1930. Okay. He served this, 11, points in the form of a letter addressed to Governor General. Then what do they say? What are the 11 demands of Gandhi? 11 points. Okay. 11 points of Gandhi. Number one, reduction of rupee and sterling ratio. Okay. Indian coin rupee and England's currency sterling. This equation between rupee and sterling is not even. That it's quite uneven. That's causing great lot of losses to the Indian business communities, mercantile classes. Let there be a healthy equation between Indian rupee and England's sterling. Next, land tax must be reduced by 50%. Salaries of the highest grade services must be reduced by 50%. Okay, the service salaries were causing a major burden, right? So why not the salaries be reduced by half, 50%? Military and civil service expenditure. Okay. Expenditure and military expenditure, police, civil service expenditure was also pretty high. So reduce civil and military expenditure by 50%. Then a more moderate policy for protecting Indian textiles, protective tariff system for Indian textiles. Okay. Then discharge all political prisoners. Indian political prisoners in the jails must be released. Okay. Total prohibition of alcohol. Okay. Consumption must be prohibited. Okay. Then you see, he also provided for, in the 11.4, 11 demands, one particular provision that was people residing within the 2-3 kilometers radius of the sea coast must have the right to make salt. This is a very important point. People residing, nearby the sea coast must have the right to make salt, okay, without tax. Okay, it's after all our waters and we are making salt, such an essential commodity. Why should we pay tax, salt tax? So revoke this salt tax law, okay, salt law. Okay, this was also served as one of the points put forth by Gandhi, right? Then you see these points were summarily being rejected by Irwin. Governor General rejected. When they rejected means that is the ground, excuse for Gandhi to go for civil disobedience movement. Okay. In fact, Gandhi was for rejection. You understand? Gandhi actually wanted these, proposals to be rejected. Okay. If even Governor General accepts them, Gandhi would not have reason to go for it, right? So Gandhi set the proposals in such way that they are not acceptable to Irwin. Okay. So once Irwin rejected them, Gandhi decided to go for civil disobedience movement. Okay. In the Varda session of the CWC, Congress Working Committee met there. Okay. It is a Congress Working Committee session. Okay. There Gandhi worked out the plan for civil disobedience movement. Okay. In his plan for civil disobedience movement, he wanted to start it with Dandi March, historic Dandi March. Okay. From Sabarmati to Dandi, and to break the salt law. Okay. By breaking the salt law, Gandhi promised CWC that he would bring Swaraj. Understand? Totally Purna Swaraj, not Swaraj, I'm sorry, Purna Swaraj. Okay. By breaking the salt law. Okay. The problem, no one understood the efficacy of Gandhian method of struggle. Okay. On the other hand, everyone had serious doubts and apprehensions about Gandhian strategy, Gandhian method of struggle. Okay. Particularly Nehru and Bose, I told you, they are not happy. They have already lost their, confidence in Gandhian, efficacy of Gandhian method of struggle. Okay. Finally, CWC agreed for Gandhian method of struggle. Okay. Everyone, underestimating Gandhi's strength and Gandhian method of struggle here, including Western media. Okay, they cracked jokes on Gandhian idea. You understand? Gandhian, Salt March. No one understood the importance. Okay. Now you see, on December 12th March, note down very important thing. The Dandi March started on 12th March to 6th April 1930. 12th March to April 6th, 1930, Dandi March. Okay. On 12th March, Gandhi, accompanied by 78 delegates, left Sabarmati Ashram for Dandi. Okay. The distance 365 kilometers, nearly 375 kilometers. If you convert it into miles, 240 miles. 25 days that time. Okay, time set was 25 days. Very clever Gandhi. He wanted that time, 25 days time, to see the message would spread the length and breadth of India. Okay, he required time for the spread of the message. Right. So, 25 days, March. Okay, with 78 followers. Sarojini Naidu, she led the woman wing of the march. Whereas Erineni Subramanyam, why Subramanyam from Andhra, he led the male wing of the Dandi March. Sarojini Naidu and Subramanyam. Right. On April 6th, Gandhi broke the salt law. Okay, see, here Dandi March importance, I tell you, my dear. Okay, importance of Dandi March. The importance of Dandi March. Okay, number one, it was the first Padayatra in Indian politics. Right, first Padayatra. Okay, interact directly with the people. Okay, a new trend in the Indian politics started with Dandi March. I am highlighting the importance of Dandi March, my dear. Importance of Dandi March, number one, first Padayatra in Indian politics. You see, today, every party that criticizes Congress party, they also use the same thing. Okay, Padayatra. It was it Padayatra, Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy came to power. It was same Padayatra, Chandrababu Naidu also did. And same Padayatra, Y.S. Jagannath Reddy also. Okay. Communist Party criticizing the Congress Party. Communist Party, Acharya Ranga, many a time conducted Cycle Yatra. Understand? BJP Radha call whatever the Yatra, they all had, the beginning, okay, precedence, right, with the historic Dandi March of Gandhi, number one. Next, number two, with Dandi March, Gandhi could convey the message. He highlighted it so well. The point that the sons of the soil must have every right in utilizing the resources of the soil. We the sons of the soil, we are Indians. We are Indians, we have no right to make salt in our own soil. Get the point. This is the real idea. What is the real idea of Dandi March? Okay, you have the spirit to understand. Okay, the real message behind the Dandi March, the sons of the soil must have the right to make salt. I mean, the right to utilize the resources of the soil. Okay, that is the effective message behind. An emotional message from Gandhi's side to the Indians. Okay, this clicked very well. Gandhi succeeded here. Okay. Third important thing you see with the march, as the march was making progress, okay, the march gradually caught the imagination of the people. No one expected for that matter, even Congress leadership had not expected such a spontaneous reaction from the people's side. Understand? People thronged around Gandhi. Okay. The numbers that followed Gandhi had swollen phenomenally. Okay. I tell you one thing, Congress party actually had not given a call for salt satyagraha. Okay. One movement where people participated voluntarily, without Congress party giving a call, without giving Congress party giving a call, it was civil disobedience movement. Okay. Gandhi succeeded here in getting the entire nation gripped with the excitement and the question before the nation whether Gandhi would reach Dandi or not. Okay, whether Gandhi would break the law or not. These are the questions. Now here Gandhi succeeded in getting the whole nation excited about his plan, gripping the nation with excitement and enthusiasm. Get the point? It's just like you see Advani when he threatened that he would, LK Advani, when he threatened that he would enter Ayodhya and, they demolished the Babri Masjid and all that. That particular point, whole nation was excited, tensed rather. Okay, whether, whether any, whether communal rights would take place or not, like that. Right? There's very sensitive questions involved. Likewise, now Gandhi's march, Dandi March, gripped the entire nation with tremendous excitement. No one expected this. Now Gandhi, my dear, I'm telling you, proved the whole world wrong. Whoever that criticized him wrong, okay, he made him to understand the efficacy of, Padayatra, his method of struggle. Okay. Here I am tempted to tell you many a time, even US President Obama, Barack Obama, right? He followed Gandhian methods in his election campaigns, right? Traveling in the general compartments, addressing the people in railway platforms, right? He admitted many a time that he would have definitely loved to have Gandhi, to sit with him for a breakfast and all that. One great leader setting new trends in the politics, it was Gandhi. Okay. So Dandi March, with the breakup of the salt law on April 6, 1930, when Gandhi reached Sabarmati and broke the salt law, that marked the beginnings of the civil disobedience movement. Salt satyagrahas. You see, salt satyagrahas started now. I told you, Congress party had not, there's no need at all for Congress party to give any call. People are waiting for that and they plunged into the struggle. Okay. Then where all you see the salt marches? In Tamil Nadu, okay, it was Chakravartila Rajagopalachari, you call him Rajaji, right? Rajaji led a salt march from Trichinapalli to Vedaranyam, Trichy to Vedaranyam, salt march by Rajaji in Madras Presidency. Note down these things, very important. Rajagopalachari, okay, he led the salt march from Trichy to Vedaranyam. Okay. Then Kelappan, who led Vaikom Satyagraha. Okay. Vaikom Temple Satyagraha, you see, it was a Satyagraha for the untouchables to enter the temples in Kerala. If you remember, I told you the untouchables of Kerala called Ilavas, right? Spelling E-Z-A-V-A-S. While discussing lower caste movements in Kerala, I told you, Narayana Guru, Sriman Narayana Dharma Paripalana Yogam, remember? Okay. Right. So, Temple Satyagraha movement, Kelappan, the leader of Vaikom Temple Satyagraha, he led, a salt march from Calicut to Payanur. Calicut to Payanur, Payanur. Okay, salt march from Calicut to Payanur by Kelappan. Kelappan connected very closely with the Vaikom Temple Satyagraha. Right. Then you see in Andhra Pradesh, you have widespread, salt marches, extensive, salt marches. Okay. In Nellore state, Maipadu, okay, Bejawada Gopal Reddy, salt march. Okay. Salt march. Then you see in Bombay Presidency at Wadala and Darshana, okay, salt marches were led by Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu and Vittalbhai Patel, they led the, marches, right, salt marches, right. And very interestingly, with the civil disobedience movement for the first time, okay, our freedom struggle crossed the borders and entered into Afghanistan, NWFP, Northwestern Frontier Provinces. You see, in the Northwestern Frontier Provinces, you have great leaders, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan and Khan Sahib. Particularly Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, thoroughly been influenced by Gandhi. We call him Frontier Gandhi, great admirer of India. a good friend of India, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, even after independence. Okay. It was during this moment Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan founded Khudai Khidmat Gaur. Khudai, Khudi, Khuda, Khuda means God. Khudai Khidmat Gaur, Khidmat Gaur. That means the servants of God society. You call them red shirts, right? Red shirts. Okay. So participation of the Afghans in the freedom struggle. Okay, this was a major development, you understand, during the civil disobedience movement. Right. Similarly, in the civil disobedience movement, okay, you have Chittagong Armory raid, okay, revolutionaries of East Bengal. Okay, I have not discussed here revolutionary movements. Okay, one of your students was asking me yesterday, okay, you have not discussed about because you have revolutionary activities before 1922, revolutionary activities after 1922, and again revolutionary activities during World Wars. So it is you cannot deal with them, in a broken pattern, right? Better you have one idea at a time. When I complete the mainstream of the freedom struggle, I will go for revolutionary activities straight as a chapter, separate chapter. Okay. Now you see, for your reference sake, while civil disobedience movement was going on in Assam, okay, the great revolutionary Surya, the great Surya founded Hindustan People Republican Army. Hindustan People's Republican Army. Okay, great women revolutionaries were there, right? This army, under the leadership of Surya, they conducted Chittagong Armory, Ayuda Karmagaram antamtillo, Ayuda Armory. Chittagong Armory raid was conducted by Surya in 1930. That means revolutionary activity also started, right? Then you see, Gandhi was arrested. Okay. Gandhi was arrested, and before that, Nehru was arrested. Right? The Indian leaders were all put behind the bars. Okay. Then you see in Bihar, okay, Bihar under the leadership of Rajendra Prasad and Abdul Bari. Okay. Rajendra Prasad and Abdul Bari, B-A-R-I. Okay. You had anti-Chowkidari tax movement. Okay. Anti-Chowkidari. Okay. Anti-Chowkidari movement, it started in the Jamindari areas of Bihar. Chowkidars, they were the, ones who will guard the villages. They are police actually. You can say police in the rural areas. Okay. They were exploiting the peasantry. You have to pay them special tax. Okay. Chowkidari tax. You understand? For protecting the villages. Okay. In this, actually you have, lot of scope for exploitation of the villages. That's why you see in the civil disobedience movement, you had anti-Chowkidari tax movement in, Bihar with the areas around Patna, okay, under the leadership of Rajendra Prasad and Abdul Bari, right. In Assam, students in large number joined the movement, right. Against, you see why the movement is because, okay, Cunningham Circular, okay, in Assam, British government issued what is called Cunningham Circular, okay, Cunningham, C-O-N-N-I-N-G, C-O-N-N-I-N-G, H-A-M, Cunningham Circular. Cunningham, the chief secretary, right? Okay. He issued a circular prohibiting the students from participating in the political activity. Okay. Any student found participating in the political activity, he would be barred. Okay. He would be, thrown out of the institutes and all that, threatening the students. Against that, okay, movement started at a larger scale in Assam. Okay. So these were all important events. Okay. Events taking place. Okay. Then you have women participation. This is really, what you can say is, really unique about civil disobedience. You can understand it very clearly. Salt is something very, much essential in the kitchen. Woman can't enter into kitchen without salt, right? That's why I said Gandhi succeeded. Gandhi played a wonderful game here. Understand? It's not a game, it's a wonderful idea. Okay. Attracting woman participation in the freedom struggle. Okay. Woman participation was never to be seen either before or after this, I'm telling you, at such a larger scale. Okay. Woman voluntarily participating. Okay. That's the most remarkable feature. Right. Then what happened here? Okay. It was at the same time also, okay, in the northeastern states. Okay. Northeastern states, the Naga movement started. Nagas, you see, Nagaland. Okay. If you remember, while discussing the tribal revolts, I made a reference to this. Okay. Thado, Kuki movement, Naga movement, remember? Rani Gedenelu, okay, her cousin Jodonang. Now you see the same thing. In Nagaland, Rani Gedenelu, okay, she led the movement. Okay. She was just 16 only when she entered the movement in 1932. Okay. She opposed the presence of British army, okay, in the Naga region. Okay. She was arrested then, and I told you, remember, she was released only after India winning independence, the called the you know daughter of Indian independence by Prime Minister Nehru and all that. Right. So you see, movement was definitely intensive in the beginning. Okay. Then what happened? Okay. In the meanwhile, you see, as per the recommendations of Simon Commission, roundtable conferences were held. Kindly remember, okay, whose recommendations the basis for roundtable conferences? Simon Commission. Simon Commission recommended for roundtable conferences. Roundtable conferences to work out one agreed formula of administration and constitutional reforms. I told you already, Motila Nehru Committee report not accepted by Muslim League, a section of Muslim League. On that ground, English also were not for accepting the report. So there must be a compromise on this issue and political parties must come to one understanding. For that, roundtable conferences recommended by Simon Commission. Okay. I already told you, Congress party in principle was not for roundtable conferences, right? Okay. Now when the movement was going on in India, roundtable conferences started in London. Okay. All the three roundtable conferences held in the Buckingham Palace, London. Okay. You see, they were presided over by Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. Ramsay MacDonald, okay, was a coalition government. He was leading the coalition government at the time. Okay. President of the roundtable conferences. If you remember, I told you Alexander Muddyman. Okay, Alexander Muddyman Committee, 1924, to study the diarchy, right? Same Alexander Muddyman, he was made as a secretary for the roundtable conferences, right? Then you see, roundtable conferences when they were held, Secretary of State for India, okay, Hare, okay, he was Hare, okay, Stanley Hare, H-O-A-R-E, Hare, he was the, Secretary of State for India, right? So first roundtable conference, okay, was held in London. And these three roundtable conferences, Congress party boycotted. Congress party boycotted the first and the third. Okay. Congress party boycotting the first and the third roundtable conferences. Right. Congress party participated in only the second roundtable conference. Congress party participating only in the second roundtable conference. Right. Congress party boycotting first and the third. Okay, both. Okay. Then, participants of this roundtable conference, very important. Who are the political parties? What were the political parties and who are the personalities? Okay. better you note down. Okay. Parties and the personalities, parties and the leaders, okay, attending the roundtable conferences. Okay. Parties and the leaders attending the roundtable conferences. Okay. Muslim League, I told you Congress party boycotted the first and the second. Right. Muslim League was represented by Aga Khan. Okay. Aga Khan, he was the leader of the British Indian delegation of the Muslims for both India and Britain, Muslim delegation. Prince Aga Khan, you can call him Aga Khan III. Aga Khan III, the head of the Muslim delegation. Right. Other Muslim leaders participating in the roundtable conferences, Muhammad Shafi, okay. Muhammad Shafi, Maulana Muhammad Ali, okay. Maulana Muhammad Ali, Fazlul Haq, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, okay. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and Asaf Ali. Remember, Jinnah was never given the first place. One point you must remember here, Jinnah was a very good vocal leader of the Muslims. He was not a popular leader. Please understand this. Jinnah never contested the elections. Okay. He was not a popular leader, but a very good ideologue. Okay. He was a good spokesperson. Okay. Quite expressive. Right? But not popular. What do you mean by popular? Popular means he must have popularity with the people. Right? That's why Maulana Abul Kalam Azad always used to say the main drawback of the Muslim leadership, they never contested the elections and won. Right? They have no respect actually for democratic ideas and institutions. That's why democracy collapsed in Pakistan. Okay. Muslim leadership always aristocratic. Jinnah in a way an aristocrat. Understand? He never contested the elections. He was not popular. He was very vocal. Okay. So Muslim League delegation, okay, led by Aga Khan. Okay. Aga Khan, Muhammad Shafi, Maulana Muhammad Ali, Fazlul Haq, Jinnah and Asaf Ali. I must draw your attention to another popular leader, Asaf Ali. Who was Asaf Ali? Okay. Remember, Asaf Ali, okay, he was the permanent president of the Muslim League in London. Okay. Asaf Ali, permanent president of the Muslim League in London, and Asaf Ali drafted Green Book. Asaf Ali, he drafted Green Book. Okay. You know what is this Green Book? Green Book is the constitution of the Muslim League. Okay. Just like Congress party, every political party have their own constitution. This Muslim League did have its own constitution. That's what is called Green Book. It was drafted by Asaf Ali. Remember, this Asaf Ali is different. You have another brilliant criminal lawyer, Asaf Ali. Okay. Aruna Asaf Ali, Aruna Ganguly actually, she married Asaf Ali, this criminal lawyer who defended Bhagat Singh in the Lahore conspiracy case. Okay. When I go to Lahore conspiracy case, I will tell you. Right. So Asaf Ali was also a member of the Muslim League in the roundtable conferences. Right. He was permanent president of the Muslim League in London. He drafted Green Book, Constitution of the Muslim League. Right. After Muslim League, then Sikhs. Okay. Sikhs were represented by Sardar Sampuran Singh and Sardar Ujjal Singh. Okay. Sikhs were represented by Sardar Sampuran Singh. Okay. Sikhs represented Sardar Sampuran, S-A-M-P-O-Puran, Sardar Sampuran Singh and Ujjal Singh, U-J-J-A-L, Ujjal Singh. They represented the Sikhs, right? Then third party, Hindu Mahasabha. You know Hindu Mahasabha, All India Hindu Mahasabha. I told you, Madan Mohan Malaviya. Right. Hindu Mahasabha, it was represented by, okay, Hindu Mahasabha represented by Moonji, okay, Moonji and M.R. Jaikar, okay, Moonji and M.R. Jaikar. Remember, okay, before the Pune Pact, 1932, while discussing the lower caste movements, I told you, Moonji, okay, Raja Pact, remember? Kumaraswamy Raja, Moonji. That Moonji was also, he acted as the president of the All India Hindu Mahasabha. So Moonji and Jaikar, they represented the Hindu Mahasabha. Then you know depressive classes, okay, scheduled caste, depressive classes, okay, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, okay. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, remember, okay, the sole representative of the depressive classes, okay. Dr. Ambedkar had the rare distinction, my dear, remember this is very important. Dr. Ambedkar had the rare distinction of participating in all the three roundtable conferences. No Indian leader. Only Dr. Ambedkar had the rare distinction of participating in all the three roundtable conferences. Right. After the depressive classes, you have Christians. Christians, they were represented by, okay, K.T. Paul. Okay, K.T. Paul, P-A-U-L. Paul representing Christians. These are all communities, right? Representing in the Indian Roundtable Conference 1. Right. Then Parsi community, it was represented by Homi Modi. Okay. Parsi community, represented by Homi Modi. Okay. You have Homi Modi Pact also. Homi Modi, a leading industrialist and a leader, right? Okay. He had his soft corner for the English. See, these leaders, most of them were actually selected by, Congress, British, to create problems for the Congress party. They are all loyalists of the English in one way or the other, right? Then you have liberals. Okay. Who are liberals? Liberal party, liberal, L-I-B-E-R-A-L. This liberal party representing the princely states. Okay. Liberals, they were represented by Tej Bahadur Sapru, C.Y. Chintamani. Okay. Tej Bahadur Sapru. Tej, T-E-J, Bahadur. Tej Bahadur Sapru, S-A-P-R-U. C.Y. Chintamani. Tej Bahadur Sapru, C.Y. Chintamani. C.Y. Chintamani, Srinivasa Shastri, okay, Srinivasa Shastri, S-A-S-T-R. They are represented the Liberal Party, princely states. Then Labour, okay, N.M. Joshi, the great trade union leader, okay. Labour class, okay, Labour, L-A-B-O-U-R. This was represented by N.M. Joshi, Narayan Malhar Joshi, N.M. Joshi, okay, and B. Shivarao, another great trade union leader, B. Shivarao, S-H-I-V-A, Shivarao. They represented the labor class. Then Justice Party. You remember Justice Party? All these people are all, okay, they had soft corner for English. I told you Justice Party, pro-British, right? Justice Party. Right. This Justice Party represented by, okay, Justice Party represented by Arcot Ramaswamy Mudaliyar and A.P. Patro. Ramaswamy Mudaliyar. And Patro, A.P. Patro, P-A-T-R. You remember Patro? This man was education minister in Justice Party's times. He was responsible for Andhra University. Okay, right, fine. Thus you see Justice Party and very importantly women who participated in the first roundtable conference. Okay. Women were represented by Begum Jahanara Shanawaz. Okay. Begum Jahanara Shanawaz. Begum Jahanara Shanawaz. That is one full name. Begum Jahanara Shanawaz. She represented women. Right. Then you see there are princely states. Princely states, 16 princely members of 16 princely states, 16 members participated. These princely states were all led by Maharaja of Bikaner. Okay. Princely states were led by princes. Okay. Princely states. Okay. If you remember, I told Liberal Party representing the princely states, right? That means People's Party, People's Representative Party of the princely states, Liberal Party. Princes as a class, they were represented by the Raja of Bikaner. There are 16 representatives represented by Raja of Bikaner. Right. Fine. These were all the important participants in the first roundtable conference. Right. There you see, in the absence of the Congress party, no decision could be taken in the first roundtable conference. Obviously, Congress party is the party of the majority people, right? In the absence of the majority Congress party, how can anyone arrive at any decisions? Even if you take any decision, that is not acceptable. So first roundtable conference ended up as a failure. Okay. But definitely they, agreed on two things. One, All India Federation. In the first roundtable conference, All India Federation. They worked out, they agreed in principle for All India Federation. Then a responsible government at the center. Someone was asking about what is a responsible government. Let me tell you, my dear, responsible government means elected governments. Today we have elected governments. Constitutionally speaking, these elected governments are responsible governments, right? These two came for discussion in the first roundtable conference, but no important solution or decision could be taken. I told you the reason: the absence of the Congress party, majority party. That's why no decision could be taken, right? Then what happened? Okay. The participants who attended the first roundtable conference, okay, they came back to India. They realized the importance of bringing Congress party at any cost for second roundtable conference. Otherwise, you can't arrive at any decisions. Okay. Here in this regard, Tej Bahadur Sapru and Jaikar, okay, they took the lead. Okay. They took the lead and they negotiated between Gandhi and Irwin Governor General. Okay. It's because of this, you see, English also tried to go for a settlement, an understanding with Gandhi. That's why Gandhi was released from the jail. Okay. It's because of the mediation efforts between the two, finally one agreement was reached. Okay. That is what is called Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Okay. Gandhi-Irwin Pact, March 5th. Okay. March 5th, an agreement was reached. Okay. Called Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Remember the importance of this pact, very important. Gandhi-Irwin Pact's importance is, this is the first pact. Okay. It is the first pact between Congress and the British on equal, footing. I mean, 1:1, on equal, placement. Okay. They are on par with each other. Okay. A pact means it's between equals, right? English for the first time accepting Congress and par with them. Okay, that is what is very important. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact. As per the pact, now what does the pact say? As per the pact, okay, Gandhi agreed to withdraw civil disobedience movement. Right? See this. To withdraw civil disobedience, grave mistake committed by Gandhi. Withdraw civil disobedience movement. Participate in the second Roundtable Conference. Right? Gandhi also agreed to take part in the second Roundtable Conference. And also agreed to give a call for, withdrawing boycott of British goods and all that. Withdraw the boycott of British goods. Part of civil disobedience movement, a total boycott given, call for total boycott, right? Now this total boycott was also withdrawn. What can you make out here? Okay, Gandhi was definitely under the pressure from industrialist groups, capitalist groups. Okay. Total boycott was affecting them because certain groups had business interests with the London industries. Okay. British capitalist classes and their industries. They were bringing pressure on Gandhi to end the movement. Okay. That's why you see call was also given to end the total boycott of the British goods. These are all contradictions, you understand. Gandhi-Irwin Pact thoroughly disappointed the Indian leadership. Gandhi agreed for this. Then what did Irwin agree? Under Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Irwin agreed. Government agreed for what? To withdraw all the ordinances, whatever the ordinances that were passed against Congress party, right? To release all the political prisoners. Okay. All the political prisoners, be very careful. Under Irwin Pact, Irwin agreed. Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Irwin agreed to release all the political prisoners except those found guilty of violence. Except those found guilty of violence. That means who were these? Definitely Irwin was not for the release of Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhadev. Already, okay, trial, took place. Okay, judgment was pronounced. These three great revolutionaries were to be hanged on 25th March. Irwin Pact, Gandhi-Irwin Pact, 5th March. Whereas revolutionaries were to be hanged on 25th March. Okay. Irwin was not for the release of these three. Ask any other, Congress party member or any Indian imprisoned, except those found guilty of violence. Okay. You see, unfortunately, okay, India lost these great revolutionaries. Okay. There was so much sympathy pouring in support of these great revolutionaries. English suspected a possible revolution in India. That's why 2 days before the actual date, okay, 25th they were to be hanged. Okay. Whereas on 23rd, 2 days before the due date, they were hanged. Okay. Who is responsible for this? Gandhi was not responsible, but definitely people had developed, a strong sense of, people definitely sheer helplessness, right? When you are in a helplessness state, you will definitely turn your anger towards someone else. Okay. This anger and frustration that we could not save the souls of the great revolutionaries, it was now turned, towards Gandhi. It was now set against Gandhi. Okay. That's why I'm telling you, Gandhi shouldn't have accepted this fact. Okay. All other considerations, they are not the excuses. If you say that, people who are put behind the bars, there's a lot of damage done to the public property, this, once the movement starts, it will all happen. Understand? Either you are running the movement until the end, or you are not starting the movement. Once you start means it should see the logical end. This is where Gandhi definitely came under severe criticism. Okay. So in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Irwin agreed for releasing all the political prisoners except those found guilty of violence. This, within brackets, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhadev. Irwin also agreed for restoring the property of the, workers, Congress party, parties, Congress party volunteers and the people who were all arrested during the movement. You see, in British Raj times, if you are arrested means your property would also be occupied. Government agreed to restore the property of the arrested people. Okay. Then finally the question solved, Irwin agreed not to revoke the salt law. See, it would be there, okay, but people were permitted to make salt without tax. Okay. Barring that, there is nothing that you gained out of this pact. Movement was temporarily been suspended. Okay. I told you, okay, particularly the day when Bhagat Singh Rajguru's grave were hanged, okay, nation mourned very silently under sheer frustration, okay, helplessness. Okay. Now, as per the pact, Gandhi left for London. Okay. Gandhi left for London, okay, to take part in the Roundtable Conference. Okay. Before that, you see, March 29th, 1931. Okay. March 29, 1931, Karachi session was held. Okay. 1931, Karachi session was held. Okay. March 31st. The only session, remember, Karachi session, the only session, Sardar Patel acted as the president. Okay. Like Gandhi, Sardar Patel, okay, acting as the president. Okay. As the president only once. Okay. That was 1931 Karachi session. Right. It was in this session, okay, it was in this session, okay, it was in this session, a decision was taken, a resolution was passed on fundamental rights. Okay. A decision on fundamental rights was passed by the Congress party. Okay. And Congress party, okay, also declared socialism as its ultimate goal. Okay. In the Karachi session, it is important for two things. One, a decision on fundamental rights was passed, okay, resolution, okay, and another one, okay, okay, it was decided to declare socialism as the highest goal, right? Because you see, already Congress expected that, many people were drifting towards socialism. They made an attempt to, see that, people are not drifted away from the Congress party members, not drifted away from the, Congress party, right? But definitely, Karachi session was a disappointing one. Why? Because the slogans were Gandhi go back. Okay, can you believe it? Slogans Gandhi go back. Right. Now Gandhi left for second Roundtable Conference. Okay, Gandhi, you remember, the sole representative in the second Roundtable Conference. Sarojini Naidu only to assist Gandhi. Okay, she is not representative. Okay. She is only to assist Gandhi. Gandhi the sole representative. Okay. They left for London in INS Rajput ship because Gandhi wanted time to mentally prepare himself to face the Roundtable Conference. Right. Now you see in the Roundtable Conference, okay, then you see also note also one point under Karachi session. Okay, National Economic Program. Okay, not only socialism. Under Karachi session, you also had National Economic Program. National Economic Program. This was also drafted. Okay, proposal was made for National Economic Program in the Karachi session. Fine. Now Gandhi participating in the second Roundtable Conference. Okay. In the second Roundtable Conference, who were the participants? Madan Mohan Malaviya, Madan Mohan Malaviya representing the All India Hindu Mahasabha. Right. Then Muhammad Iqbal, important personalities I am telling you. The great secular leader, Muhammad Iqbal. Right. And capitalists. Okay, capitalists were represented by G.D. Birla and S.K. Datta. Okay. They were representing the capitalist classes. Okay. Right. Then what were the outcomes? What were the outcomes in the second roundtable conference? In the second roundtable conference, you see the problem. Okay. Gandhi was ready to accept. Okay. Gandhi was ready to accept the Gandhi was prepared to accept criticism. Prepared to accept criticism. Gandhi was prepared to accept criticism, okay, to face criticism from Muslim League. Okay. Whereas you see, unexpected development for Gandhi. Criticism came from all the political parties, including Hindu Mahasabha. Hindu Mahasabha, depressed classes, okay, Muslim League would anyway criticize Congress party. Muslim League's main point here is what? 1916 Lucknow Pact in principle agreed for separate communal electorates, remember? Lucknow Pact 1916. Right. Congress party agreed. Then what made Congress party to go back on its word and to deny separate communal electorates for Muslims in the Motilal Nehru Committee report? Okay. Jinnah's straight questions why Congress party not accepted provincial autonomy in absolute terms. Why Congress party not accepting residuary powers for the provinces? Why not separate communal electorates for Muslims? Okay. Muslim League blamed Congress party as the party of the Hindus. Okay. Hindu Mahasabha criticized Gandhi for Congress party's appeasement policies towards the Muslims. And you have Dr. B.R. Ambedkar skating, criticism against Congress party and Hindu in general, Hindu casteism in general. Okay. Gandhi tried his best to convince the political parties that Congress party, not a party of one religion or one community, it is against all considerations, above considerations. Unfortunately, no one prepared to come to his line of thinking. Okay. That's where Gandhi felt dejected. Okay. There's hardly anything that he could do at that particular point. Okay. Dejected Gandhi left the second roundtable conference all of a sudden, abruptly, all of a sudden, blaming Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald responsible for the failure of the Congress, roundtable conference. Okay. Once he came back to India, he threatened to revive civil disobedience movement. Again, he was imprisoned in the Yarwada jail, Pune. Okay. This time, I am telling you, no positive response from people. When Gandhi gave a call for reviving the movement, there was practically no response at all. Okay. Why? Because you see, we can't take people for granted. Okay. Why the movement started and why it was suspended, why Gandhi take part in the second roundtable conference. These are the fundamental questions. Understand? You are against roundtable conferences, then what made you to take part in roundtable conference? Okay. You are for Purna Swaraj. Where is Purna Swaraj here? You are not for roundtable conference. You took part in the roundtable conference, and why did you boycott the conference again? These are the questions, right? Okay. Civil disobedience movement ended up, you see, I should say, as a failure. Okay. We will discuss about the critical appraisal of civil disobedience movement later. Now, in the meanwhile, what happened? Okay. Communal award, you see, August 16, 1932. You remember, while discussing the lower caste movements, I told you. Okay. While discussing lower caste movements, I told you, Communal award was announced by Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald. Ambedkar's reasoning was so convincing that the Prime Minister agreed for depressed classes, their own constituencies, separate communal electorates for depressed classes. Against the communal award, Gandhi observed his fast unto death in Pune. Gandhi's fast unto death started. Right. And Gandhi's health deteriorated. That became a matter of concern for the entire nation. Gandhi's health deteriorating. Right. Hindu Mahasabha served an ultimatum on Ambedkar. If something happens to Gandhi, that would create a problem for Ambedkar. Right. Means what? Passions were soaring high. People are turning more, emotional and sentimental. So depressed class leaders were, pressurized here. In a way, they were under distress. They were under, duress. They were under pressure. So finally, it was agreed for discussions. That led to what is called Pune Pact, right? On September 24th, 1932, Pune Pact was signed. Remember? I told you all these things. Under Pune Pact, depressed classes agreed. It was not a pact. Please understand. I told you it was not a pact signed by Gandhi. Gandhi was not a signatory. Congress Party represented by Babu Rajendra Prasad, All India Hindu Mahasabha represented by Madan Mohan Malaviya, right? And depressed classes represented by Dr. Ambedkar and M.C. Raja. Discussions had taken place between them. And in the presence of Gandhi. Gandhi definitely not a signatory, in the presence of Gandhi. Right. So you see, the pact was signed. As per the pact, then depressed classes, instead of 71 seats, they got 147 seats. 147 seats, double the number of the seats. They got. Actually, it was 148. Now, finally, it was reduced to 147. Then you see 18% of the total seats in the central legislature, a reservation for depressed classes. I also told you it appears to be a gain at the outset, but in reality, it was a great loss for the depressed classes. I told you. Qualitatively, they lost. Quantitatively, they gained. Right. After this, you see, Gandhi started his Harijan campaign. He started his Harijan movement. Now, depressed classes problems and Dr. Ambedkar's, vocal and vociferous propaganda definitely had their impact. Now, Gandhi going for Harijan campaign. Right. In September 1932, he was in jail at the time. In September 1932, from jail itself, Gandhi formed All India Anti-Untouchability League. Note down that. Important. In September 1932, Gandhi founded All India Anti-Untouchability League. Gandhi founded Anti-All India Untouchability League. Anti-All India Untouchable League. Then in 1933, he started the weekly called Harijan. Weekly Harijan. That later became the movement itself, Harijan movement. Right. In August 1933, right, Gandhi then founded Harijan Sevak Sangh. Harijan Sevak Sangh. Harijan Sevak Sangh. You see, these are all attempts made by Gandhi, okay, to win the support of the depressed classes, to win their confidence. You understand? Gandhi, okay, openly advocating eradication of untouchability, temple entry for depressed classes and all that. Right? Right. So Gandhi, he played a very important role in the social reconstruction at that time. And you see, by 17th November 1932, third round, third roundtable conference also ended. Okay. Third roundtable conference also ended. Okay. Then you see other important developments were what? Okay. In 1933, Satyamurthy formed Madras Swaraj Party. Okay. There are other developments connected here. By 1933, Satyamurthy founded Madras Swaraj Party. Right. Then you see, in October 1933, okay, Lees-Modi Pact was signed. Lees. Lees-Modi Pact. You remember Modi representing the capitalist classes in the second roundtable conference? Okay, I told you he had his sympathies for England. Modi. Okay. Okay. Not, there are so many Modis. Okay. This Modi, okay, he was a capitalist, right? Okay. Lees-Modi Pact was signed. Why this? What is this pact? Okay. You see, Indian merchants, they had their own fears. Japan's competition was quite, severe in the international market. Quite profound competition in the international market. Japan posing a major threat for Indian competition, right? Better the Indian capitalist class side with the English, right? It's an understanding between England's capitalist classes and the Indian capitalist classes. That's what is called Lees-Modi Pact 1933, October, right? Then you see in May 1933, okay, Gandhi is suspended. Okay. Formally, he announced the suspension of civil disobedience movement. Okay. It was withdrawn for all practical purposes by April 1934. By April 1934, civil disobedience movement ended for all practical purposes. Now you make a critical appraisal of this movement. Okay. Make a critical appraisal of civil disobedience movement. I said it ended up as a failure, unfortunately. Why it was a failure? The ultimate aim was what? Purna Swaraj. But did you secure Purna Swaraj? Purna Swaraj was not realized. That way it was a failure. Okay. Next, number 2, okay, Motilal Nehru Committee report, 50% reduction in land tax, 50% reduction in export duties, 50% reduction in salaries, 50% reduction in military expenditure, are major demands put forth by Gandhi, 11 points. What were realized here, except that salt law? Okay. Except salt tax law revoked, not revoked even, that remained, understand? But Indians were permitted. Civil disobedience movement failed to realize the main points it highlighted or main objectives it was meant for. In that way, it was a failure. Okay. Now, failure of civil disobedience movement, you see, because critical assessment means it should be both sides, right? You have to discuss where it ended up as a failure. You are telling now it's all ended up as a failure now, in all these regards. Okay. Now, on the other hand, negative effects, right, were quite profound equally. What were the negative effects? Negative effects of the civil disobedience movement. Okay, negative effects. Number 1, you see, peasantry thoroughly disappointed. Number 2, working classes disappointed. Number 3, a section within the Congress party thoroughly disappointed. Finally, for whose sake the movement? Peasantry definitely disappointed. What did they gain? They had not gained anything. Okay. You see, the great leader in Congress party supporting the cause of the peasants, Acharya N.G. Ranga. You know Acharya N.G. Ranga? Okay. The great peasant leader. Okay. Octogenarian Ranga. You have Ranga, okay, Agriculture University, remember? Okay. Acharya N.G. Ranga. Acharya N.G. Ranga, okay, thoroughly disappointed. Great peasant leader Ranga. He was a member of the Congress party. He resigned, left the party, okay, and in 1934, Ranga founded, okay, Andhra Socialist Party, okay, Andhra Socialist Party, okay, Acharya N.G. Ranga. He left the Congress party. Ranga was the one who was the first to found right to colleges, right to schools. I mean, to educate the Rayat. Rayat means farmers, right? Right to Kalashalas, right? Ranga, with the support of Swami Sahajananda, okay, together they founded All India Kisan Mahasabha. Okay, remember, very, very important. In 1936, 1936, All India Kisan Mahasabha, a political party, All India Kisan Mahasabha was founded. Okay, by Acharya N.G. Ranga, okay, and Swami Sahajananda. This All India Kisan Mahasabha had held its first session in Lucknow, Lucknow. Its first session, okay, was held in Lucknow. Okay. It was presided over by Swami Sahajananda. Swami Sahajananda presided over the All India Kisan Mahasabha session. Means you can make out clearly here, peasantry drifted away from the Congress party. Peasantry definitely no more with the Congress party. Yes, they had their own party. Right. Then go to the working class. Okay. When it comes to the working classes, if you remember, you see working classes were represented by trade unionism, trade union movements. Right. The trade union representing the working class, AITUC, right? All India Trade Union Congress, AITUC. Right, AITUC of N.M. Joshi. Okay. Now you know what happened. Before civil disobedience movement, remember these things very important. Communist Party supported the Congress Party. Right. Communist Party supporting the Congress Party. When civil disobedience movement failed, same Communist Party blamed Congress Party. Now the dual role or the double standards of the Communist Party, okay, they always wanted to exploit the situation to strengthen their position. Right. That's why communists became unpopular. Understand? They never had any consistency. They always wanted to strengthen the party at any cost. Okay. Now, Communist Party blaming Congress Party for the failure of the civil disobedience movement made an attempt to capture power within Congress Party and the organs of the party. Okay, you remember I told you AITUC, it is affiliated to Congress Party. If you remember, while discussing the trade union movement, I told you, okay, by 1928 itself, okay, there were differences started. Okay, M.N. Roy, the founder father of the Communist Party, remember, under his influence, RTUC, Red Trade Union Congress was formed. Red Trade Union Congress was formed. Okay, right? It's completely under the influence of Communist Party. Okay. So communists could gain their, place, could gain control over the AITUC. Okay. Finally, okay, it's because of, Congress Party in the civil disobedience movement, failure of civil disobedience movement. So what did it gain? Movement, and what did the movement gain? Now you see within Congress party, All India Kisan Mahasabha, and yet you see they are outside, right? Fine, I agree. Within Congress party, what were the effects? Okay, definitely major section of the Congress leadership thoroughly disappointed with the failure of the civil disobedience movement, particularly the youth wing of the Congress party. Youth wing of the Congress party, they were thoroughly disenchanted with Gandhian ideology. They are thoroughly disappointed with Gandhian ideology. You know what happened? In 1934 Bombay session, 1934 Bombay session was held. Bombay session of INC. The Bombay session of INC, Indian National Congress, presided over by Babu Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Prasad was the president. It was in this Bombay session 1934, Congress Socialist Party, CSP was formed. Okay. Congress Socialist Party, the youth wing within the Congress Party. Okay. They got attracted towards socialism and they formed Congress Socialist Party. Who were the founder fathers? Acharya Narendra Dev. Say this, Acharya, Professor Narendra Dev. Acharya Narendra Dev, Jai Prakash Narayan, Acharya Narendra Dev, Jai Prakash Narayan, Aruna Asaf Ali, Aruna Asaf Ali. Okay, I told you her actual name Aruna Ganguly. She married Asaf Ali. Aruna Asaf Ali. Okay. Achyuta Patwardhan. Achyuta Patwardhan. Mino Masani. Mino Masani. Have you heard of Chandrasekhar? A former Prime Minister of India, great orator Chandrasekhar. Okay. Chandrasekhar, okay. Socialist leader. Okay. They were the ones, okay, who founded Congress Socialist Party. Okay. You mean, was it a split? It's definitely not a split, my dear. Please understand. Okay. Congress Socialist Party was formed, undoubtedly, within Congress Party. But Congress Socialist Party decided to remain within Congress Party. Okay, not as a split. It decided to remain within the organ of the Congress Party. Okay, it's an organ of the Congress Party. Okay. Then what is the main purpose? Main purpose of the Congress Socialist Party was to gradually transform, see this, sudden transformation of the Indian society into socialism, it's not possible. Okay. You have to wait for time. Congress Socialist Party's program was gradual transformation of Congress into the path of socialism. That is the main objective of Congress Socialist Party. What can you make out here? We can make out one thing very clear, that youth wing, definitely they were attracted towards the socialism. Gandhi lost control over the Congress Party, definitely. Okay. These are all problems within, like civil disobedience movement. You mean civil disobedience movement altogether a failure? Okay. Don't ever say that. I told you many a time. Okay. Civil disobedience movement did have its own achievements. What were the achievements? Okay. With the civil disobedience movement, Congress made a clear departure. Very, very important. Okay. What is the clear departure? Achievements of civil disobedience movement. Clear departure from non-cooperation movement to civil disobedience. Okay. It's definitely, it made Congress party an intensive movement, intensive party, powerful party, okay, assertive and aggressive party. Okay. Congress became assertive and aggressive party, not from non-cooperation to civil disobedience. Okay. You can see that intensity, you can see the variation in the intensity. I told you non-cooperation means no tax campaign. Civil disobedience, breaking the law, means it's definitely intensive. Okay. Here, Congress made a departure, I said. Congress made a departure from what? Self-governance, right? Earlier, Congress party asked for self-governance. Now, under civil disobedience movement, Congress is asking for Purna Swaraj. Swaraj, remember? You can make out the difference. From self-governance to Purna Swaraj, there is clear difference there. Yeah. Right. This is something remarkable. Right. Next, number two is because of civil disobedience movement. Okay. We could very effectively highlight the point, second important thing, that we are the sons of the soil. We must have every right in utilizing the resources of the soil. Okay. This was highlighted very well. Next, number three, I told you already. When Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed, it was a pact to sign, okay, on parity. That means Congress party signed the pact on equal basis, on parity basis, okay, with the English, on par with the English, right? Next, which because of civil disobedience movement, okay, nationalist movement entered into frontiers, northwestern frontiers, Afghanistan. Okay. Next, women were brought in large number into the mainstream of the struggle. Okay. Definitely in all these regards, credit goes to civil disobedience movement. Fine. This is the end of the civil disobedience movement. Now what happened in the nationalist movement? Roundtable conferences ended. Right. Roundtable conferences ended. Okay. In 1933, Parliament published a white paper, very, very important. After the three roundtable conferences, in 1933, Parliament published white paper, WHIT. What is white paper? White paper means an official document. From government's side, what happened on a specific, event. That is official version, right? Given in the written form, then it is called white paper. Okay. Parliament published a white paper, the white paper discussing all the discussions. White paper is about all the discussions and decisions taken place. It is about discussions. All the discussions and decisions taken in the roundtable conferences. Right. All the discussions and the decisions arrived in the taken place and the decisions arrived in the roundtable conferences. Okay. What is the importance of white paper? 1933 white paper became the basis for, you see, very, very important, Government of India Act. Government of India Act. Government of India Act 1935, very, very important, right? Government of India Act 1935 was drafted on the basis of White Paper 1933. Note it down, very important. You know, Government of India Act, the last constitutional reform, okay, of the British, right? If you remember, I already told you while discussing Motilal Nehru Committee report, okay, most of the recommendations of Motilal Nehru Committee report were accepted in the roundtable conferences. I will discuss that in the 35 Act. Now you see, these discussions had taken the form of White Paper 1933. And White Paper 1933 became the basis for Government of India Act 1935. Okay. Then what are the important provisions of the Government of India Act 1935? Okay. You know, Government of India Act 1935, the last constitutional reform. Okay. What the self-governance we had been asking for, in a way, I am not telling in absolute terms again, in a way it was provided under Government of India Act 1935. Okay. Right. Then what are the important provisions here? Under 35 Act, you see the importance, there are three important things. One is federalism, okay, was provided for the first time. Right. Second important thing is the act, it was drafted without any preamble. No preamble for 35 Act. Very interesting. For the Government of India Act 1919, there was preamble. Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, remember? 1919 Government of India Act. For that there is a preamble. What was the preamble of that 1919 Act? The Declaration of Montagu, okay, Declaration of Chelmsford, August Declaration, remember 1917. That was the preamble for the 35 Act, for the 1919 Act. Whereas 1935 Act was drafted without any preamble. Okay. Second important thing is, very important, this was the Government of India, was the government of the Crown, okay, government of Parliament. 35 Act, in other words, exercised its control over India. What we had been asking for, Swaraj or self-governance, all these were set aside with one word. Okay. 35 Act says all the powers to be given to the Indians, they are derived from the Crown. Crown means Parliament. This is meant what? That Indians must be under the control of the British only. Okay. So, in spite of giving the call for Purna Swaraj, that's what, finally we have not got anything. They are telling that we are giving you power. Under that, what the power that we are giving, you have to function. This is what it implies. Fine. Then what are the provisions? Provisions of the 35 Act, number one, federal government. A federal government with British India and princely states. Okay. Federal government with British India and princely states means you think princely states would join. They are never for joining. So it provided, Act provided, but princely states never joined. So it did not take any concrete form. Okay, I mean it was not materialized. Okay. Second thing is what? Provincial autonomy was provided. What do you meant by provincial autonomy? Provincial autonomy meant all provincial departments would be controlled by the elected members. Okay. Right? Provincial autonomy means all the departments under the provincial list. See the other important things here. Okay. The Act asked for number two, division of powers. Okay. That's other important difference between 1919 and 35 Act. 1919 Government of India Act provided for devolution. Okay. 35 Act provided for division. Okay. Hope you are understanding. Okay. What is the difference? Okay. I told you there are differences between 1919 and 35 Act. 1919 had preamble, 35 Act had no preamble, right? Okay. 1919 Act, okay, provided for devolution. Devolution of power. Okay. Right. This is 1919 Act. Whereas 1935 Act provided for division of government. What is the difference between devolution and division? Okay. Devolution means, okay, higher authority on its own or his own, transferring certain powers to the lower authority. For instance, central government on its own transferring certain powers to the provinces. You provinces, you take these powers. Okay. This is devolution. Right. Division as a matter of right to provinces getting the power. Okay. As a matter of right, then it is division. Okay. You center, these are our powers. You have no role. That is division. It is like, I am telling you, my dear, father distributing his ancestral property and earned property. You have right in your father's which property? Earned property or ancestral property? You have right in your father's ancestral property. No earned property. Get the point? So if father gives on his own, my son, I am giving you this. That is devolution. He has every right to take back. Right? Division, as a matter of right, you claim. Then it is division. So, devolution means center on its own giving certain subjects of powers to the provinces. You remember, they had given us transferred subjects. Right? You Indians, you administer this. That is devolution under 1999 Act. Now, under 35 Act, we got division of power. Okay. Powers were divided into, you know better, powers were divided into three subjects: central, right, provincial, and residuary, right? Residuary, the rest, or concurrent list, rest. Okay. If you remember, I told you Muslim League wanted the residuary powers to be given to provinces. Remember, under Motilal Nehru Committee. Whereas Motilal Nehru Committee wanted residuary powers, to remain with the center. 35 Act also said the same thing. Okay, no residuary powers for the provinces, right? So powers were divided for the first time: central, provincial, and residuary. Right, division of power was made. Next important thing is what? Diarchy would be abolished. Okay. You remember 1919 Act provided for diarchy at provincial level. 35 Act recommended for the abolition of diarchy. No diarchy at the provincial level, but diarchy at the center. Okay. Diarchy at the center. Okay. That means all subjects of power in the provincial government at the provincial level would go to the Indian elected representatives. Okay. This is what is called responsible government. 35 Act provided for responsible governments in the provinces. I already told you, responsible governments means elected governments at the provincial level. Right. Then 35 Act also provided for, okay, 35 Act provided for, apart from division of power, okay, responsible governments, abolition of diarchy, okay, there were bicameral legislatures. My dear, see, bicameral legislatures, okay, upper house, lower house, two-chambered. Bicameral legislatures in 6 provinces. What are the 6 provinces? Number 1, Madras, Bombay, UP, Bihar, Odisha, and Assam. Bombay, UP, Bihar, okay. Bombay, Madras, Bombay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Assam. Okay. In all these places, you had bicameral legislatures, okay, under the Act. Okay. Yeah, add one more, Bengal also, 7 provinces altogether. Bengal, Madras, Bombay, UP, Bihar and Assam. No Odisha, I'm sorry. Not Odisha, it is Bengal. Okay. It's not Odisha, it's Bengal. Bihar, Bengal, Assam, okay, Madras, Bombay, UP. In all these provinces, okay, joint, bicameral legislatures were provided. Okay. Then you see new provinces were created. What were the new provinces? Okay. New provinces of Sindh and Orissa were created. Okay. Sindh and Orissa, they were the new provinces, right? Then franchise. Okay. Someone was asking about this. Okay. Was it universal adult franchise? It was not. Okay. Franchise was on the basis of property. Okay. Property. Okay. So property was the criterion to decide a vote. Okay. Then communal electorates were extended to Parsis, Anglo-Indians, Sikhs. Okay. Not only for Muslims, Parsis, Anglo-Indians, Sikhs. Okay. They all got the separate communal electorates. Right. Then you see governor at the provincial level, governor general at the central level. They all got veto powers. Right. Then going by the spirit, okay, of federalism, 2 federal agencies were provided. What were the federal agencies? Federal Reserve Bank, which later became RBI. Federal Court of Justice, okay, what you call it as Supreme Court today. When it was founded, it is 6 judges, right? Federal Court of Justice, what later became Supreme Court. They are all provided. Okay. Then another important thing is 35 Act abolished Indian Council. Remember, you had one Indian Council in London, Secretary of State, the head of the council. In Indian Council, you have 15 members. Remember, after 1857 revolt, Indian Council was provided, I told you. Right. That Indian Council was abolished because Indian political party is not happy with Indian Council. It was not constructive. It's waste, right? It's waste of people's money to run the Indian Council. That's why Indian Council was abolished. Okay. These are all the provisions of the 35 Act. Right? 35 Act came into force on April 1st. April 1st, 1937, Government of India Act came into force, effective. It came into effect from April 1st, 1937. Now, political parties of India decided to contest. Why not? Great opportunity to come to power and serve the people. A section of the Congress party, they are not happy with the 35 Act. Okay? They had their own reasons. Okay? Why they are not happy? They are not happy because you see governors given veto powers means where is the chance here? Governor no people's opinion to prevail. Governor can overrule the decisions of the Council of Ministers. Likewise, Governor General at the center. Diarchy at the center was of no use at all. All crucial portfolios, they kept it there under their control. Okay. So you see, within Congress party, okay, a section of the Congress party was, not that much happy with the act. They were for, boycotting the elections also. Okay. Then subsequent developments you see. In the AICC session held in Patna, okay, 1934. There they decided in principle to go for elections to take place right under the Act. Act was drafted in 35, but paper was published already, I told you, white paper. Right. In April 1936, Lucknow Congress session was held. Okay. Note down that, very important. By 36, the act was made public, right? Published. In 1936, Lucknow session was held, presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru. Lucknow session of INC, presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru. If you remember, same year I told you Kisan Mahasabha founded, All India Kisan Mahasabha. All India Kisan Mahasabha was founded in 1936 by Acharya N.G. Ranga and Swami Sahajananda. They held their first session in Lucknow only. That's the same place where INC session was held under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru. Right. Here Nehru urged for making socialism as ultimate goal by the Congress party. Nehru was a staunch socialist, I told you. Nehru again appealed to the Congress party to make socialism as its highest goal. Okay. Nehru added Congress Socialist Party members into CWC. CWC, Congress Working Committee, CWC. It will have 15 members. Okay. Nehru, added 3 Socialist Party members. I told you, Congress Socialist Party already founded in 1934. In the 36th Lucknow session, Nehru invited 3 Socialist Party members. Who are the Socialist Party members? Okay, Jay Prakash Narayan, right, Professor Narendra Dev. Remember, they are founder fathers of the Socialist Party. And Achyuta Patwardhan, right, they were the Socialist Party members in the Congress Working Committee. Right. Here in the Lucknow session, a resolution was passed, okay, to draft All India Agriculture Program or Agrarian Program. Okay. Because you see, Lucknow session, I told you, Kisan Mahasabha was held there. So Congress party was trying to attract the peasants back, right? Peasants to get back into the Congress party, their support for Congress party. That's why a decision was taken to draft All India Agrarian Program. In the Lucknow session, a decision was taken to draft All India Agrarian Program. Right. Agrarian Program for what? For bringing back the peasant, the riots, farmers, right? Then Congress party also decided to contest the elections, I told you, okay, in the Patna session itself, right, 1934, they decided to contest the elections, right. Now in the Lucknow session, they decided to go for drafting election manifesto. 3 things, right, 3 things in the Lucknow session, okay, to make socialism ultimate goal, okay, and Congress Socialist Party members, they were made members of the CWC. Secondly, a decision was taken to draft All India Agrarian Program. Third thing is election manifesto of the Congress party. Okay, because Congress party decided to contest the election. Election manifesto, okay, was also to be drafted. Right. These are the developments in the Lucknow session, okay, by the Congress party. Then very next year, 1937, Faizpur session was held. Very important. Faizpur, Faizpur. Very interesting. Faizpur session, the first session of the Congress party in a rural area, in a remote village, right? Faizpur in UP, right? Faizpur session, the first session of the Congress party in a rural society in a village in UP, Uttar Pradesh, right, phase 4 session. This session, okay, held in the village UP, right. Okay. Phase 4 session, important thing is, okay, yes, I told you already, it was for, okay, a drafting the program, agrarian program of the Congress party, okay, to attract the people, right. Okay. Phase 4 session, it was presided also by Jawaharlal Nehru. Same, 36, Lucknow session. Same phase 4 session again, it was, Jawaharlal Nehru, same leader, presiding over the phase 4 session. Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru again serving as the president. You remember in the history of the Congress party, Dadabhai Nauroji and Jawaharlal Nehru, they presided maximum number of times. Both presided over the Congress party 3 times as presidents. Okay. Right? Dadabhai and Nehru. Right. Now in the phase 4 session, Congress party worked out its agrarian program. Already a decision was taken. Right. Then what was this agrarian program? It included, agrarian program, National Agrarian Program. It promised or it included what? 50% reduction in land tax. If Congress party comes to power, 50% reduction in the land tax would be given. Exemption of rents and tax from uneconomic land holdings. You see, all the land is not convenient for agriculture. Okay. You may have 10 acres. Of the 10 acres, only 5 are useful for agriculture. The remaining 5, you shall not tax them because they are not convenient for agriculture, right? Congress promised that they will give exemption for the, uneconomic land holdings. Then freedom for the peasantry from feudal levies, landed aristocrats exploiting the people. Okay, Congress party promised to liberate the peasantry from feudal exactions. Okay, bonded labor, with you have bonded labor, right? Congress promised to free the people from bonded labor peasants. Okay, what is really interesting here is, in this common, agriculture program, already agriculture program, was drafted in the phase 4 session. Congress party not mentioned about abolition of Jamindari. See this. Okay. There was no mention of Jamindari system. Why? And Talukdari system. Remember? Jamindars and Talukdars, dominant landlords. Okay. If you abolish these systems, means within Congress party you have very powerful landed aristocrats, you have Jamindars and Talukdars. They are not ready to accept this. That's why you call them right wing. I will tell you what is meant by left wing and right wing in the Congress party later. Congress party made promises for the peasants. 50% reduction in the land tax, freedom from bonded labor, freedom from feudal exactions, you understand? Freedom from, abolition of feudal levies, right? But it did not talk about abolition of Jamindari system, right? This was the, common economic program, in a way, election manifestos. Now you see elections were held. Okay. Under the 35 Act, elections were held for the first time in 1937. When elections were held, Congress party fared relatively well. I don't say exceptionally well. Congress party fared relatively better than Muslim League. Okay. Elections were held in 11 provinces. Out of these, you see, in the 1937 elections, 1937 elections. Very, very important. In the 37 elections held in 11 provinces. How many provinces you had? 11 provinces. Afterwards, you see Baluchistan was also added with that, you see 12 provinces. But in the beginning, you had only 11 provinces, right? In these 11 provinces, when elections were held, Congress formed governments with absolute majority. Okay. In Bihar, central provinces, Odisha and Madras. Okay. Of the 11 provinces, Congress formed governments. Congress formed governments with absolute majority, right? With absolute majority. Absolute majority in Bihar. Congress got absolute majority here. Bihar, central provinces, that is Madhya Pradesh. Okay. Odisha and Madras, South India. Here Congress got governments with absolute majority. Whereas in Uttar Pradesh, in UP, Bombay, right, Bengal, Assam, right, and NWFP, Northwestern Frontier Provinces. In all these places, Congress emerged as single largest party. Single largest party, not in a position to power, not in a position to form government on its own. Single largest party. Okay. UP, Bombay, okay, Bengal, Assam, right, and NWP. In 5 places, Congress emerged as single largest party, right. Definitely, if you look at it this way, it was no mean an achievement, right. It's definitely Congress party fared better. Okay. Then you see, Congress finally formed governments in 7 provinces. Okay. In 7 provinces, Congress formed governments. I'll discuss Muslim League later. And now I am dealing with Congress party forming governments in 7 provinces. In 7 provinces, Congress party formed governments, right? Who are the chief ministers? Then, you see, in 1937, chief ministers were called premiers or prime ministers. You can use the word. Prime minister is the word used for provincial legislatures of the state governments, right? There's nothing called chief minister. Premiers are prime ministers, right? In UP, okay, look at this, very important. In 1937 elections in UP, okay, the premier or the chief minister of today's world, it was J.B. Pant, Govind Vallabh Pant, G.B. Pant. Pant was the premier or chief minister. Next, number 2, Bihar. In Bihar, Sri Krishna Sinha. Sri Krishna Sinha. SINH. He became the chief minister. Right. Then CP, that means Central Provinces, Madhya Pradesh. It was Dr. Kher. Right. Next, number 4, Madras. Madras, Rajaji. Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya. Right. Next, Odisha. In Orissa, Hare Krishna Mehta, Bombay, B.J. Kher, right. Next, NWFP, that is Northern Western Frontier Provinces. NWFP, you have Khan Sahib, Dr. Khan Sahib. Remember Abdul Ghaffar Khan and Khan Sahib, right? These are all, you see, Congress ministries only, right? Okay, their coalition governments also, formed. Okay, right. Then you see the other provinces in Sindh province. Okay. In Sindh party, Congress supported. Okay. Congress supported the ministry of Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah. Okay. It supported, okay, it gave support to Hidayatullah. Hidayatullah's government, right? Congress is supported. That means Congress definitely enjoyed, an extent power there. Then in Assam, Congress supported Bodolai government. Bodolai was the chief minister. In Assam, Congress supported Bodolai. Bodolai's government, right? L-O-Y, Bodolai. Bodolai's government. Right. In Bengal, you see, Fazlul Haq. Okay. In Bengal, the problem, you see, Fazlul Haq was a very popular leader in Bengal. He had no majority to form the government. Right. Fazlul Haq. He invited Congress to form the coalition government. But Congress rejected and Haq formed government with Muslim League. Right. First, Haq wanted to join Fazlul Haq with the Congress party and to form a coalition government. But Congress party rejected the offer. That's why Fazlul Haq joined hands with Muslim League. This is a coalition government, okay, in Bengal. Right. In Punjab, you see, in Punjab, it was Unionist party, very powerful. Sikandar Bhatt was the powerful leader there. The Congress fared not so well in Punjab scene and all that. Right. Unionist party, they came to power. Now, what can you make out here? I am telling you, 37 elections created lot of problem. Okay. Problem within Congress party and outside Congress party. In other words, I may go to the extent of telling you people that had there not been 37 elections, okay, had there not been 37 elections, Pakistan wouldn't have been formed. You mean it's because of 37 elections, Pakistan became a reality? I should say yes. I will explain why. When Pakistan and communalism entered into extremist phase, extreme communism. Okay. Extreme communism means what? Your interest and my interest. You are a Hindu, I am a Muslim. We can't live together. That is extreme communalism. Your interests are different and my interests are different. That is extreme communalism. This started mainly because of 37 elections. Understand? Finally leading to the resolution on Pakistan, unfortunately. Within Congress party, serious differences between Bose and Gandhi. It's all because of 37 elections. Okay. I will explain that later. Now what happened with the elections here was, you see in UP, the problem here, I am giving you one, very important development. In UP, Congress was the single largest party, but not in a position to form the government. Right, single largest party. There, in UP, Muslim League offered support to Congress party. Muslim League wanted Congress party and Muslim League to together form coalition government. Unfortunately, Congress party rejected the offer from Muslim League. Okay. Same thing they did in Bengal also. Okay. Fazlul Haq, he was ready to join, I told you, in Bengal with the Congress party, but Congress party rejected the offer. In UP, Muslim League offered, that was also rejected. Congress party formed government in UP with the support of Krishikar party. Okay. This disappointed Muslim League very badly. Why Congress is not accepting the support of Muslims? Understand? That's why Muslim League turned bitter against Congress party in its criticism. Now you see the beginnings of extreme communalism. Okay. The offers made by Muslim League to form coalition governments turned down by Congress party. That disappointed the Muslim League and Muslim League became very offensive. Okay. Why not Muslim League's support? Understand? It's a great mistake committed by Congress party, I am telling you. If Congress party accepted the offer from Muslim League and formed coalition governments here in UP and Bengal, these are the two main centers where communalism started. Okay, what are the main centers for communal politics, communal violence? Uttar Pradesh and Bengal. Right. Had Congress party accepted this offer, okay, communalism wouldn't have been that severe, number one. Number two, Jinnah would have been altogether sidelined. Jinnah never a popular leader, I told you. He's a vocal leader. Okay. There are very powerful leaders who are ready to join Congress party, to join hands with the Congress party. Unfortunately, that chance gone away. Okay. This made Muslim League turn bitter in its criticism, I told you. Now when Congress party formed its coalition government in UP with Krishikar party, unfortunately communal riots started. Okay. Riots start, you see they are part and parcel of the Indian society. Right? Communal riots started. When communal riots started, the Muslim League started blaming Congress party. See now what's happening. Muslim League blamed Congress party for the communal riots. Muslim League appointed inquiry committee, its own inquiry committee called the Raja of Pirpur Committee. Raja of Pirpur, P-I-R-P-U-R, Pirpur Committee, to look into the communal riots. Okay. This committee, the Raja of Pirpur Committee, okay, it exaggerated the picture, inflated the figures, okay, blaming Congress party. Okay. Now you can see how the things are turning back to worse. Pirpur Committee blaming Congress party for the communal riots taking place at large. It was at this turn of events that you see the idea of Pakistan gained currency. Currency means popularity, acceptability. Where exactly you see the beginnings of this idea of Pakistan? Okay. You can trace the idea of Pakistan, a separate state for Muslims, in the writings of Muhammad Iqbal. Okay. Muhammad Iqbal was actually a secular-minded Muslim intellectual, poet, understand, literary personality, right? Muhammad Iqbal, right? You know, Muhammad Iqbal wrote Sare Jahan Se Acha, such a lovely poem, even today very popular, right? A section of the Muslim aristocrats, they started entertaining the fear that they will not have any identity, okay, in the, you know, in the Indian political system. Okay. Because you see, you can't match Congress party a majority party. What is the guarantee that Muslims' rights and Muslims' privileges would be guaranteed, okay, under the majority Congress governments? This is one question. Number two, aristocrats in the Muslim community, I told you, they feared that they might lose their position, they might lose their power, they might lose their identity. Okay. That's why a section of the aristocrats of the Muslim community, they gradually nurtured this idea. They promoted the idea of Pakistan. Okay. It was made public. I mean, it was given a concrete shape by Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. Okay. It was he who published the idea, pamphlet on Pakistan. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, a London-based law graduate, when Roundtable Conferences were taking place in London, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, okay, he published the pamphlet. Pamphlet, now or never. Very important. There, now or never, okay, he talked about the idea of Pakistan. Why Pakistan? He gave reasons, solid reasons for Pakistan. Okay. Why Pakistan? The reasons given by Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. Number one, you see, Muslims constitute 1/3 of India's population. Right. This 1/3 of India's population, twice more than that of any European country's population. Okay. Population-wise, Muslims more than any European country. So they have a right to demand for their own, state. That is number one reason. Secondly, Muslims were not someone, ignominious, someone, you can ignore. Understand? Muslims were the rulers of India. Remember, in medieval times, Muslims ruled India for 600 years. Delhi Sultans and the Mughals. So how can you ignore the Muslims? Muslims had a stake in power. Okay, they had their own share in power. Okay, that's why Pakistan. We want our own state called Pakistan. Thirdly, why Pakistan? Muslims are not, you see, they have their own, they don't have their own identity. They are scattered. I mean, they are geographically scattered. They have no geographical identity. In India, every community has its own place, its own region. Marathas, Sikhs, Punjab, Sindhi, understand? You have linguistic basis, you have regionalistic basis. But Muslims are scattered all over. That's why they want a, state of their own. That's why Pakistan. Chaudhry Rahmat Ali had drawn the political map of Pakistan, showing Muslim majority provinces. He had drawn the map of Pakistan, showing the Muslim majority provinces. See the word Pakistan, it includes the first, alphabets of the states. Punjab, okay. Punjab, Kashmir, right. Punjab, Kashmir, Sindh, okay. Then Baluchistan, okay. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Punjab, Afghanistan, okay. Kashmir, Sindh, and then Baluchistan. Okay. The last phrase, Stan. put together Pakistan. Okay, Pakistan. Okay. Kashmir, Punjab, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Sindh and Baluchistan put together Pakistan. Okay. This is the expression. Literal meaning of the word, you know, Holy Land. Pakistan, literal meaning, Holy Land. Okay. This was published. No one attached any importance for Chaudhry Rahmat Ali's argument and his attempts, right? Now when relations turned bitter between Congress and Muslim League, then gradually this idea of Pakistan gained popularity. Unfortunately, in the 1938, Allahabad Muslim League session was held. Just like Congress party, every annual year you have annual session of Muslim League held in Allahabad. It was in that annual session of Muslim League held in Allahabad, okay, Muhammad Iqbal openly supported the idea of Pakistan. In the 1938 Allahabad session of Muslim League, okay, Muhammad Iqbal openly supported the idea Pakistan. Right. Then what happened in 1939 October? Okay, World War II started. 1939 October, World War II started. When Hitler attacked Poland, World War II started. Right. Governor General Lord Linlithgow. Okay, I will discuss this again in a different context. Just try to understand this now. Governor General Lord Linlithgow, 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 G-O-W. He made India a party to the war without consulting the elected Congress governments. You remember, you have Congress governments for, right? In 7 out of 11 provinces, Congress had governments, right? In these governments, when Congress party is in power, it is expected of the British to consult the Congress ministries, right? Without consulting these elected Congress governments, Governor General Lord Linlithgow, Linlithgow, Linlithgow made India also a party to World War. We were made a party to World War. Actually, we have no problems with Germany or Japan, right? England had problems with Germany, England had problems with Japan. In what way we are connected with World War? Okay. If you want to make India a party to World War, it is expected, right, of the British to consult the Congress leadership. Okay. When India was made a party to World War II without being consulted, all the Congress ministries in, I told you 7 provinces, right? They all resigned en masse. They resigned. Okay, Congress governments collapsed. They resigned en masse in protest against the decision of involving India in the war. The point here is, when Congress governments resigned in 1939 October, in a provocative act, provoking the Muslims, Muslim League asked Muslims to celebrate Day of Deliverance. You know what is this? Day of Deliverance means Thanksgiving Day. Thanks, you are offering thanks to God. Okay, Thanksgiving Day, that Muslims were liberated from the obnoxious Congress governments. Okay, Day of Deliverance means Thanksgiving Day to God, saying that Muslims were liberated from the Congress governments. That means definitely provocative. See how things are taking shape. Okay, extreme communism. What not to happen, unfortunately it happened. In 1940, next you see, in 1940, okay, March, Lahore session was held. Lahore session of the Muslim League. I told you, like Congress party, Muslim League would also have annual sessions. Lahore session of the Muslim League was held in March 1940. It was in this session, okay, Lahore session of the Muslim League, okay, that, Jinnah passed the resolution, Jinnah drafted the resolution on Pakistan. Okay, I mean Muslim League proposed the idea Pakistan. Resolution on Pakistan was passed. Okay, on what basis? On the basis of two-nation theory. You know what is two-nation theory? Two-nation theory. Okay. Two-nation theory. Okay. If you remember, when Amit Shah introduced the bill, right? Okay, abrogating Article 370 in Parliament, okay, both BJP, Congress blamed each other who was responsible for partition. Then Amit Shah went on record saying that, Congress party. Actually, if you remember, I told you, okay, Hindus, Muslims, they are two different nations. This concept started with, okay, Savarkar brother, V.D. Savarkar. He was the president of All India Hindu Mahasabha. For him, Hindus and Muslims are two different nations. Okay. I also told you, Arya Samaj also continued to entertain this idea, but in a different way. Arya Samaj, if you remember, I told you, for Arya Samaj, Indian culture means Hindu culture. If Indian culture meant Hindu culture, what is the culture of the Muslim here? Is it not Indian? Okay. So, you see, divisionist tendencies are seen there. Unfortunately, they took a very, concrete shape. They became the basis for Muslim League to demand for Pakistan. The demand for Pakistan on the basis of two-nation theory. Two-nation theory says that Hindus and Muslims are two different nations. And two different nations cannot live in one soil. That's why they are demanding Pakistan. When Lahore session passed a resolution on Pakistan, that's a point of no return. Unfortunately, okay, things turned back to worse. Finally, you can make out who is responsible, what is responsible for all this. 37 elections only. Okay. I told you, if Congress party accepted the proposals of League for coalition governments, things wouldn't have been so bad. Okay. This is what is a crisis because of 37 elections. Okay. This is where I want to stop for today. Tomorrow I will discuss 1937 elections, how it caused a problem within Congress party, serious differences between Gandhi and Bose. Finally, Bose left Congress party. World War II started already. How war affected India's nationalist movement. Crucial developments.